Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and you've got questions and I've got answers. Even if you didn't ask the question, I still have answers because that's kind of how I roll. Thanks so much for joining me today. As always, leave your comments and questions down below. Hit the like button also because that is what you do on YouTube. There it is. All right, so today we've got a little bit of some Q&A action going on, which I always enjoy. And we're going to take a look and see what type of things you guys are bringing to me to talk about. All right, as always, I appreciate the time, and as always, my technology works perfect the first time I pick it up, and we're ready to roll. All right, Dan, Easy6VT, do you have to pick up the double die yourself and request attribution? PCGS won't find it for you. So this question has to do with finding out whether or not you have a variety on a coin when you send it into NGC or PCGS. There's a couple things to know. PCGS and NGC will not automatically look for varieties for you. So whether it's an actual VAM or something from the Cherry Picker's Guide, you'll see an FS number. That's for Fiva Stanton, the Cherry Picker's books. Those are things that you need to be able to locate yourself and then request. And then you pay extra to have them take the time to look for it and verify what you have. You know, understanding that if they're just looking at a coin to grade it, that's very different than, okay, I'm going to stop, bring out extra magnification, look for a variety, check it against all the attribution lists that we have and make sure it's that variety. Especially when you get into something where you're talking about, there are some varieties where you basically need a microscope to see, which not my favorite area, but there's people who collect the stuff, right? And so for PCGS or NGC, to be able to actually stop and look at that stuff, it's time consuming. And so they're not going to do that automatically. And it costs, I think PCGS is charging $18 for variety and NGC is $15. Either way, it's a lot of extra money because you're already paying your submission fees of, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks depending on the value of the coin. And then on top of that, you have to pay the attribution fees. And so you want to make sure that you have the right variety first before you send it in. And then you're going to pay for the extra for them. You're not just paying for them to put it on the label. You're paying for them to take the time to stop, double check the variety, because sometimes when you think you've got the right variety and you send it in, you find out later that you do not have the right variety. So thanks for the question. All right, William, Girl7735 says, looking forward to MyCollect. Really cool interview. Looking forward to the MyCollect interview. So Ian Russell of Great Collections, if you haven't heard or seen, created a social media site called MyCollect. It is currently mycollect.com, but also both Android and Apple versions of the app will be coming out soon. And the idea is to have a social media feed that doesn't have all the other garbage on it. It's just for the collectibles. So, you know, we're not looking at puppies and politics. We're looking at coins and currency, and that's the idea here. So I'm actually pretty excited to see where this goes. But anyway, also, William says, nice looking future submissions. Would like to visit the Sonoran Desert sometime soon. Okay, William, January, come on down. January. Third weekend in January, I'm hosting a coin show. Go to TucsonCoinshow.com. The website is, you know, mostly functional. But click on the Area Attractions tab. There'll be a little drop down. Area Attractions. Click on that. And then the Arizona Sonoran Desert Museum is on the list of things that everyone should come and see when they're in Tucson. But there's a whole list of other things that you can do when you're in town. The coin shows, I'm going to make this the third weekend in January. It's going to be a regional show. It's going to be a nice show. We're going to have a lot of people there who care about coins, coin collecting. It will be hopefully the type of thing where the sense of community is very strong. That's really what I'm going for. And come to the Arizona Sonoran Desert Museum when you're in town. Spend a couple extra days around. And also the Coin Club show is the following Sunday. And then the following weekend after that, the Mesa show. So if you've got a good 7 to 8 days, maybe 10, to spend in Arizona in January, especially if you live in the Midwest, come on down to Tucson, come on out to Arizona, and have a good time. I think that's my spiel. That's my spiel, and I'm sticking to it. All right. Next up, All right, Ted Lawrence 4189. I've watched many videos on YouTube of the results of PCGS, etc. reveals. Seems like most collectors/investors are unhappy with a large percentage of the grading results. Many who submit their coins know as much about the grade, how to grade a coin, as I do about neurosurgery. I'm really hoping he's a neurosurgeon, by the way. That would be fun. PCGS has people who do this by the thousand. They have experience, investigate tools, and access to research. So when some dummy sends in a common date seeded half with scratches, they become upset that the coin is ungradable. Even if it gets a clean good 4, it's still a waste of money to have it graded. Grading services are not God, but I have more faith in them than I do with folks who disagree with them. All right, couple comments here for Ted's comment, which is, first of all, I've pointed this out before, but I need to point it out more often. I do grading result videos. I try to talk about the coins that come back, why I see the grade the way I see the grade, and also when I disagree, why I disagree with the grade. Now, one of the things that has happened is if 80% of the grades come back and I agree with them, nobody notices that 80%. People fall into one of two camps. Either the camp of, I get favorable grading, or I get hosed. And that's the two camps. So people will notice the one coin when I get that's, I think, overgraded, and people are like, oh, Ben, they're so good to you. And then, they'll see the coin that, they think I really got hosed on, and they'll latch onto that, ignoring the other 70 or 80% of the coins that the grade was fine. By the way, there are very, very few coins that are legitimately overgraded. I just need to say that out loud. My other comment for Ted also here is, stop watching videos of people who are idiots. I mean, his word was dummy, I guess, but it's a whole other thing. Take the time to watch people who know what they're talking about a little bit. Just, I couldn't possibly watch content where people who really, really don't know what they're doing are revealing coins. That would be very difficult and trying for me. And so I would tell you, just maybe give up on those people. That's just a thought. Although I'm guessing maybe Ted's talking about me here. But anyway, hey, like I said, if it's not worth watching, don't watch it. All right, at 38 wheat 40, did you used to be Beowulf? Everyone's handles have changed on YouTube, and it's just really interesting to me. I very much like the Franklin series as well because it doesn't break the bank. It's nice and concise in size and has introduced me to a coin that I never really paid any attention to before. As a silver stacker and collector of 90% constitutional, I really only bought the 1964 Kennedy halves, but now we'll add these to my stack as well when the premiums for these coins return from the stratosphere, which they have as the making of this video anyways. Thanks for the video and the surprise of seeing this Library of Coins album, as this is the same one I recently inherited with the fun task of completing. Kind of pleased that there are no slots for the proof coins. Not sure I would have been as enthusiastic in filling in those, particularly the early ones. I'll save those funds for my classic commemorative $50 collection. 38 wheat 40, thank you so much. Glad to see that you're a stacker that's collecting. Also, sounds like even getting into commemorative halves. Sounds like $50 the size and the denomination that you're falling in love with here. The Franklin half series is a fun series to collect. There's 35 coins in just the uncirculated series. So it's not that difficult to collect. Most of the coins you can get uncirculated. You can probably get 2/3 of the set uncirculated for, $10, $15 a coin, as long as you're not going for varieties and full bell lines. But also, if you want full bell lines, you can cherry pick dealers all the time who just have raw BU stuff, because it's not worth their time, generally speaking, to try to find full bell lines and extra high grade BU coins and send them in and get them certified. That's a very long game to play. So it's always time consuming when it gets to that. In the first half of that series, there's a few coins in there that are pretty tough uncirculated coins to get. Price point wise, 49S, 52S, we're going to be spending $40, $50, $60, $75 a coin on a few of those. But overall, it's a very rewarding set to put together, and it looks nice, and it is concise. It's got a nice feel to it. You don't feel like you're loading up on too many coins, if there's such a thing. And I think there is such a thing. All right, Mark, talking about putting together, putting the stacker precious metals market aside, have you ever done coins that tend to rise in numismatic and collector demand and therefore value over time video? It's something that I've probably done videos specifically to that topic, but it's the type of thing that needs to be rehashed kind of constantly. I like to put it out in front of people in general because a lot of people ask about the coin market and coin collecting. And, you know, supply and demand, I think he used the term supply and demand. He just says demand. But supply and demand is everything in the coin market. And so a lot of people tend to move to where there is the most demand already naturally. So you'll see people, they're in Lincoln cents, and then they're all of a sudden they're in Morgan dollars. And there's just certain things that really tend to move very frequently. So for example, they trade frequently because there's a lot of collectors in those areas. And those are the type of things when you look at the gray sheet as an example, their price points are really close because the coins trade so frequently. You can use that very reliably to see what the market is. Over time, you know, it's hard to say what'll do what over time, right? So the conventional wisdom is you buy into the most popular areas and they tend to go up the most consistently. And by that I mean, so in every series there's going to be a key date or key dates, certain coins that are always the toughest to get, the most popular. So if you're just looking at coins that tend to go up in value, it's almost always the key dates. So what that means is, for example, back to the Lincoln cents, your 1909 SVDB, your 1955 double die, your Morgan dollars, a lot of the Carson cities, the 1893 S. There's certain coins that are the rarest coins, tend to go up in value because they're the most popular coins. I have a countervailing view of really when it comes to actually investing in things in the coin market. And that is to really, really specialize and get into the more esoteric items. Oftentimes when people ask me about collecting coins and paper money for the future value, I tend to lead them down alleyways they don't want to go. And so they don't follow me down these dark alleyways of buying foreign currency or buying coins that aren't as exciting. Like, you know, I use the term mid-century modern. So high-grade BU coins from the 40s and 50s, you know, maybe into the 60s. And there's a lot of those, people want to follow what's easy to follow, right? They don't want to put in the legwork of finding a new collectible that's exciting. Now, I'm talking about, in general, the masses. And I know there's plenty of you who specialize, and I learn a lot from you all who specialize. And that's how I know that those are places where you can still make money. Anything that is less popular has the ability to become more popular. And I still tend to not think about coins that are unpopular but have had a chance to be popular for a long time. So in other words, I tend to not really look at things like V-nickels. Poor V-nickels, I bring them up all the time. But you know, I tend to look more at foreign banknotes, foreign crowns, ancient coins, certain tokens and metals. By the way, you want to talk about markets that have gone down in value. There are huge areas of the collectibles market when it comes to metals and numismatic related items along those lines that have gone down in value a lot over the last 2 decades. And I consider anything like that to be a good area to look into. So as an example, all the exonomia going around all of the different expositions, right? So all of your centennial celebration expositions. So what that is, and you know, some of us are used to the bicentennial. Some of us weren't around for it, but whatever. The centennial in 1876, a ton of medals were put out. Same thing, of course, with the Columbian World's Fair in 1893 in Chicago. All types of medals and tokens went. A lot of that type of stuff is worth less today than it was 20 or 30 years ago. And I consider that to be a good area to collect because there's a lot of already historical data and information on it. So you're not really pathfinding. You're not really trying to invent a new collectible market or area. The content is out there. It's just in older books and magazines and stuff. But also, to me, the historical significance is fantastic. You can have fun doing it. There's a big variety in design element, and I think there's a lot of potential because the general availability and overall population of most of that stuff is scant at best. A lot of that stuff does not have a large population, but the collector base is even smaller. So that gives you an opportunity to buy in at a level that's really pretty good based on the overall scarcity. So, and from there, of course, at any given time, you have a nice low supply, but you're always waiting for the demand to pick up on something. And I have no way of predicting that. But the reality is, I know plenty of guys who have collected whatever, certain items that nobody wanted for 20 or 30 years, and then all of a sudden something sparked, and then boom, 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 all of a sudden you started to see the market appreciate on that type of stuff. So anyway, Mark, thank you so much for the question. Thank you everyone for spending the time today with me. Keep on collecting and have fun. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.